Hello, everyone, and welcome to this boating industry webinar, how to get 4 times the leads from your current website with texting. Seriously, that's right. My name is David G. I'm the content director and editor-in-chief at Boating Industry, and I will be your moderator for today's session. This webinar is presented by Connect. They're a communication management software platform that thousands of companies across North America use to text their customers, generate online reviews, gather leads from their websites, and collect payments. Our speaker for today's session will be Trevor Allred, Vice President of Business Development at Connect. Before I hand things over to him, I'd like to remind everyone that if you have any questions during the webinar, please submit them using the chat function, and we'll take those at the end of the session. I would also like to remind you that a recording of the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel in the coming days, so you can listen to it again, share it with colleagues or coworkers, or pass it around as you see fit. And with that, I will hand things over to Trevor. Welcome, Trevor.
Great. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate that introduction. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with Dave McMahon, David G., Adam Quant, Leslie Palmer, and the whole team at EPG Media. It's certainly a great opportunity to visit with you, marine dealers and other members of the boating industry in regard to ways you can generate even more leads. And so I've switched gears here to a magical deck here where we can actually help you to generate those. And I love how the title has included the word seriously, because many of us might even be skeptical about not only inbound leads, but the number of inbound leads we can generate. So let me just start by sharing a bit about me for 2 seconds. I'm based out in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where our company is. And we've had a string of 100-degree days last week. And then all of a sudden this morning, we woke up to 37 degrees. So is it ideal for boating? Not necessarily today and yesterday, but I have to confess, I've been a boat owner for a long time. And most of you hopefully have enjoyed some good success, ironically, in terms of units sold. But I know we as a family have found a lot more time to get out on the water. And it's been wonderful. And I have to brag that even over the holiday weekend, we were down at a lake in southern Utah called Sand Hollow Reservoir, where there are big red sandstone rocks that you can jump into the water off of. And it was hot and sunny and absolutely gorgeous. So I see we've got a lot of dealers on this call all across the country. I hope the weather gods are smiling favorably upon you and that sales continue at a record rate. So with that kind of introduction, let's talk about how you can even boost more of your sales by using text messaging. And so before I do that, I've shared a little bit about who I am. Let's talk a bit about our company. We too, of course, are based in Utah. There are a lot of technology companies here, and so they kind of dubbed it the Silicon Slopes, named after our ski resorts. But we're a text messaging platform software company built specifically for dealers. And our founder, Sean Sorensen, is actually a former marine dealer from the Northwest. He had several Mastercraft dealerships. And so a lot of what I share with you today was inspired by marine dealership business. But we aim to help you as a dealer do 4 specific things, and based on that, we'll then share exactly how you can generate more leads from your website. But number 1, we want to help you communicate more efficiently. That's why we exist as a company, to help you as marine dealers. Number 2, of course, generate new leads, and that's what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about. Number 3, collecting payments even via text message. And that doesn't necessarily relate to leads, but it's certainly something to consider for your dealership. And then number 4, driving online reviews. And I'll actually share a little more information about why that's so important from a standpoint of generating more leads for you at the dealership. Now, a lot of what we talk about today is based on the backbone of the power of text messaging. And so if I were to ask all of you on the call to raise your hand if you've ever used text messaging, we all know that the answer is 100% of the hands will go up. And I point that out because a lot of us think that, well, depending on where you are or your age bracket, text messaging isn't being used. And we know that's not correct, because whether even it's with grandchildren or neighbors or friends, everyone uses text messaging. And on the business side, look at some of this data that supports a lot of what we'll talk about today. 89% of us as consumers in North America prefer to interact with businesses, at least initially, via text messaging, even over a phone call. And think about that for a second, and I'll come back to it. Number two, 98% of all text messages are opened, and 95% are read within 3 minutes. Now, each of you, again, pull out your cell phones, and most of you may already be on them, and you may be texting, heaven forbid, during this fabulous webinar, but do you have any unread text messages? Well, look and think about it. The answer is you likely do not. And so that just lends all the more to the fact that if you as a dealer want to communicate effectively with your customers and prospects, why in the world would you do anything but text messaging? Number three there, customers are 7 times more likely to text you back. Why? Because it's super quick and it's super easy. And then, of course, the last bullet there, we as customers don't want to wait on hold as much anymore or leave a voicemail. And so using text messaging can not only be effective for you, but it can help portray a 5-star white glove convenient experience for your customers and prospects. And so here are the 2 specific things I'm going to talk about today that will help you as a dealer 4 times the leads you're generating from your current website. And it's all based on text messaging. And as you can assume, for many of you on this call, seeing that we have dealers all across the country, you're smart enough on the marketing side to know that if there's a way to interact with customers and prospects that has a 98% open rate and a read rate of 95%, that easily far outdistances any print communication or email communication or even voicemail communication. And so I want to help you today by talking about 2 things: putting a simple text us option on your website and generating online reviews even quickly and even easily. So let's talk about the first one here, putting a simple text us option or simple text us options on your website. Now, what do I mean by that? Take a look at this particular graphic here. One of the best ways to reach your customers is obviously social media, and that's not new. And my hope is that each of you are exploring or currently using the social media aspects to generate more business, to generate leads, to funnel those leads through your website. And here's the reason why. We now have over 1 billion of us that are active users of Facebook, and a ton of us use Instagram. And so for you as a dealer, you want to take advantage of that and then take it one step further by offering a message button or a text us button on each of your pages on social media. Why? So that your customers and prospects can very quickly and easily interact with you. And number 2, I'll show you on the back end so that just like an email inbox, you can see and manage all of those message and text us button activities that are coming in off of your social media sites. And so here's a particular example. You know, you've got some inventory pictures. You've got other things that you can attach a message button to. A big one we found is just simply on your website, putting a text us button there. For heaven's sakes, if 89% of your customers and your prospects prefer to text you anyway, why not have a huge text us button staring them right in the face as they approach your dealership? And you'll notice here on this particular example, look even up above at the top, they have a text us today. And so part of our service to dealers is we convert your main dealership phone number to be text enabled, so that whether they're clicking on the text us button or whether they're using your main number to call or text, it is very easy for them to reach out to you and interact with you. And of course, we know as consumers, if it's easy, we jump on it. And one example I like to use is even Chinese takeout. You know, if you're looking for some Chinese takeout options, we as consumers aren't necessarily going to look at the website for each Chinese restaurant within a 20-mile radius. Instead, we're going to quickly do a search perhaps on Google to find some options, and we want to reach out to them very quickly and easily, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But let's show you what is the impact of simply putting a text us button on your website. And in our fancy Connect language, we call it the widget. And so in this chart here, that green box with the arrow, this is when this particular dealership, Bob Weaver Marine, and Bob, if you're on the call, we certainly welcome you and appreciate you letting us use you as a guinea pig. But we added that text us button to their websites at Bob Weaver Marine on September 20th. And I love this chart because it isn't showing COVID timeframes where we can all assume online interaction picks up a little. This is even last fall. And look, within just a few short weeks, they went from just 13 leads coming in off of their website to how many? Almost 1,000% increase in terms of leads coming in off of their website. So does having a simple text us button help you generate more leads 4 times, 5 times, 10 times the amount? Well, you can guess the answer is absolutely yes. And so what happens if I click on that text us button? I then, as a consumer or as a prospect for your dealership, then have an option to direct that text message to either sales or service or parts, or if you have a pro shop or the finance department, I can direct that message, or even by location if you're a multi-location dealership. And then as I click on one of those, I, as your prospect or customer, have the opportunity to enter my name and my mobile number and a brief message and hit send. And so a lot of you may be using chat options, and chat options are great because they're getting you a little closer to the mark. But we've found additional advantages for using a text us button are in these 2 areas. Number one, if I'm a prospect or a customer, I can actually walk away from my computer and still maintain that conversation. And number 2, I still have a record of it on my cell phone, whereas with the chat feature, and I'm the customer or prospect, I don't. So keep that in mind. Not only is there a 98% open read rate with text messaging, but it's also a lot more convenient for your customers and prospects, even over a chat feature. And so keep that in mind. And then we here at the Connect side, what do you do with all those leads coming in off of your text us button? Well, we have a desktop application that I'll show you in a second. We also have a mobile application, and this makes it very, very effective for everyone on your team, whether they're in service or parts or sales, to get notifications on their personal cell phones when those text us inquiries come in. And again, it's because we base it off of the backbone of text messaging, converting your main dealership phone number to be text enabled. And by doing that, 2 things happen. Number one, your employees no longer have to give out their personal cell phone numbers. And number 2, they can now use the app running off of the dealership phone number. And then number 3, you as the dealer now have record, whether on the mobile app or the desktop app, of every single text message communication that takes place between your prospects and customers and your employees. And you can even group those by department or by employee or by dealership location. And so if I'm out on the sales floor as one of your sales folks, I am still getting those inbound leads coming off of the text us button on my website. And they come via notification that I have a new text message. I click on the app, and sure enough, there is the inbound text message asking if I have model XYZ and how much it costs. And how easy is it now for me as a salesperson to reply, yes, we have model XYZ. I snap a picture of it because I'm standing right next to it, and I text it right back to the inquiry and say, here's a picture of it. Here's the MSRP. Come on in today before 6 and let's talk about some special pricing we can work with you on. So a lot of power on those inbound text messages coming in via text messaging, not just because your customers prefer that, but also how easy is it for you and your employees at your dealership to respond. And it is so easy that then you're now having responses to those inbound leads in a matter of seconds instead of minutes or hours or days or weeks. And data supports that because we as customers are 7 times more likely to buy if we get a response in less than 1 hour. So think of the power if your employees are responding to these inbound requests within seconds and within minutes. I mentioned taking a picture The mobile app, of course, not only includes the inbox, but also quick replies and photos. And I'll talk more about quick replies in 1 second, but look at the power of photos. And why don't we trade places for a second? Let's say all of you dealers are actually my customers and I'm the dealership. What's your impression of me as you receive photos and quick responses in regard to my very inquiry or your inquiry, whether it's service or parts or sales? And my favorite example of this particular screenshot here is, let's say, again, you're my customer and you brought in your boat to me as your dealer for some annual service. And as I'm looking at it, I notice an engine oil leak. Well, I can take a picture of that engine oil leak and text it right back to you with, say, even a photo of the $80 seal that will fix it. And I can say, thank you for bringing in your boat for annual service. My name is Trevor. I'm the tech. I noticed an engine oil leak, as you can see in this photo. For $80, we'll replace the seal and your boat will still be ready for you today at 5 o'clock as promised. Well, that's me communicating to you as my customer and I'm your dealer. But let's say you as my customers, you're at work that day, and let's say you're even sitting in a board meeting, for heaven's sakes. But you, like everyone else, are hiding your phone under the table and you see that message come in and you see that for $70, I can fix your engine oil leak. Then you're likely to see it, you're likely to respond even within 3 minutes. And so 2 things happen right at that moment. Number one, you as my customer are feeling pretty good about my service level and desire to help you as a dealer, huh? And then number 2, if I'm the service manager, how excited am I? Well, I'm absolutely thrilled because I got a response in writing within minutes to proceed with that work order. And so therefore, I not only make the customer happy, but then I can move that unit out of my service bay and bring in number 2, number 3, and number 4. And so not only is my service hitting the top of the charts, but my productivity or my efficiency in service is also hitting the top of the charts because I'm having quick communication with my customers. Here's an example of the inbox. So again, as we're helping you generate dozens and dozens of leads off of the text us button on your website and the texting features on all of your inventory pages, and as your employees, whether they're in sales or service or parts, are getting instant notification of those leads, here's the actual desktop inbox, where then you as the dealer can set up an inbox either by department or by individual or by location of your dealership. And this is like an email. The left-hand side shows who that message has come in from. And notice in this example, there are a couple of raw numbers near the bottom. Well, you know for sure those are new inbound leads. Why? Because it's a raw number and it doesn't match your customer database that we at Connect have already dumped into your Connect instance. The second column there is a time and date stamp and a subject line. And so just like an email, you kind of have a quick view of what kind of communication is going on in your dealership via text messaging. And then the third column is who that message was originally directed to. And I can actually click on those names in the third column and assign those messages to either A, other individuals within my dealership by name, or B, I can assign that message to other departments. And so again, let's say a hot lead came in off of your website through that text us button. If I'm the sales manager and I see that, I can quickly assign that to all 10 of my salespeople instantly, which means that all 10 of them will get a notification on their phone that there's a new inbound sales lead. And then I can see in the far right-hand side of this screenshot here, all the communication going back and forth from my salespeople with those leads. And so we intend to make this very simple, very quick, and very easy for you. And as you look on that far right-hand side, the blue boxes are the text communication from your people at the dealership. And each one has a name and a time and a date stamp so that you can very easily track the responses and the communication and the response time, which has been very fun for managers. And then the white boxes, in this example, those simple hi notes that are there are from the customer or prospect. They're in white and they too have a time and date stamp. And so it makes it very easy to track that communication, whether at the front desk or at the sales desk or the service desk or the parts desk. And then in the lower right-hand corner, to capitalize on those inbound leads, you can type a message and hit send. There's a little paperclip button where you can attach promotions or special pricing or upcoming activities at the dealership. That little $ icon in the lower right-hand corner accesses our remote payment collection. The calendar icon lets you actually schedule messages to go out automatically. For example, going back to service, if you're getting those inbound leads, whether it's for service or parts or sales, I can schedule reminders to go out the night before, or invitations to come in and look at new product the day before, that sort of thing. And then the last thing we call quick reply templates are also built into our offering, which means if you're getting a lot of questions for your address or your hours, why not make, with our help, or we can do it for you, or we can show you how easy it is to do it yourself. Those quick reply templates can be, just as the name implies, it's a template with your address and a pin drop and a phone number. So all I have to do is click on address, all of that information pre-fills, and I hit send. And so a lot of capability here to really help you maximize the opportunity from those increase of leads that come in. So number one, we've talked a lot about using text messaging on your website, whether it's a text us button on your front page or whether it's message or text us buttons on your inventory pages. That will help you 4 times the leads that you're getting from your current website. Seriously. And remember the data I shared from the Bob Weaver, where they increased from, I think, 11 or 12 up to 138 leads. That is how you generate additional leads in business. But if that's not enough, and I'm all sure you're wiping your brows going, this is amazing, we've got to get going on it, it even gets better. So number 2, I want to talk now about the power of generating online reviews at your dealership to help generate even more leads from your current website. And yes, it is using text messaging. And so for a lot of us, we're familiar with reviews. Remember my mention of Chinese takeout? Oftentimes we're going to pick not the Chinese takeout option that has the least amount of reviews, but of course the one that has the most amount of reviews. So let's talk about the power of reviews for you in your dealership. And here's a little data to kick it off. 81% of us as consumers now use reviews as the first step in choosing a new business, even including a dealership. Am I right? Each of you think about that for a second. You know, whether you're buying a new boat or you're doing Chinese takeout or you're looking for a great lake to take your family in their boat, we are looking at reviews. 88% of us trust online reviews. And actually it becomes a negative thing if there aren't enough reviews or if there are negative reviews. And so let me show you why it's important and how easy it is to generate a ton of reviews for your dealership so that more people find you online and more people pick you online. And here's a great one right here. Look at some of this data. Your online listings, like this one to the right, get 500% more views than your dealership's website. Think about that for a second. I know we all know the importance of having a good website, and we invest a lot of money to make sure it's good. But have you ever thought that your online reputation, i.e. the reviews you have, get 500% more views than your website? So should you care about your online reputation? Absolutely. And according to Harvard, a 1-star increase in your rating can mean almost a 10% increase in revenue. And so now we go to this example. Let's say all of you on this call who are dealers are my friends. We're all in the same boat together. We've got some money. We want to buy a boat. We just don't know where to spend that money. And so we do a quick Google search for, if I live in the Ohio area, marine dealers. And lo and behold, this little list pops up. And so as we all look at this list for places we can spend our money, which one are we going to call first? Are we going to call Back Bay Marine? And no offense to Back Bay Marine, I'm sure they're wonderful, but as a consumer, just simply doing a quick search and looking for where to call first, we're going to call Buckeye Sports Center, or the one with the most reviews. Why? Because we trust reviews. Again, that Chinese takeout, are we going to choose a low review Chinese takeout option? No. And are we ever going to get to a Chinese takeout restaurant website? You know, likely not, because we're just looking for a great place that we can trust and order quickly from. And so keep that in mind. What do we as potential customers want to see in reviews? And keep this in mind for you at your dealership. You want to have quality. You want 5-star reviews. You want recency. You don't want reviews that are 10 years old, because we as consumers don't trust that as much as recent ones. You as a dealer want quantity, and this is Google data here. Google tells us that you need a minimum of 50 reviews to be deemed legitimate. So that's why they call it 50 reviews are necessary. And I think we all get that, because if we're looking at a Chinese takeout place that only has 15, then we're probably thinking, that's probably family and friends. You get what I'm saying? And then Google data says 50 is the bare minimum. 150 is ideal, because we as humans, when we hit 150, we begin to trust that business. And then the last piece of successful review strategy is owner response. Now, each of you, think about it. When's the last time you responded to one of your reviews? It's likely it's been a long time. And so let me show you how we can do that very, very easily with you. So how do I generate the review? Let me set the stage. Let's say that each of you on this call, again, are my customers and I'm the dealer. You've just bought a new boat, and I'm the finance and insurance manager. And so you and I are standing across the desk from each other. You have not even picked up your boat yet. And I notice that you've had a good experience. There's a smile on your face. And let's admit, it's the happiest day of your life, because you just bought the boat of your dreams. And let's say even you've got 3 kids running around in my lobby eating my popcorn. So I'm a semi-perceptive finance and insurance manager, and I say, you know what, David G., you sure seem to have had a good experience with us today. Thank you for your business. Would you mind leaving us a review? Now, each of you at that moment, what are you likely to say? Well, we're likely to say yes, even though we know by the time we get home, we'll have forgotten where to go to leave the review, and some of the newness wears off. And so instead, I simply say, well, great, thanks, David. I just texted you a review request. So then you, as my customer, will open your phone, and this is the text message you just received from me. It has my logo at the top there. It has a templated message asking for a review. So you, as my customer, click on that link. You select either Google or Facebook to leave a review ad, and then the cookies on your phone take you right to a 5-star screen where you can click 5 stars and hit post. Okay, stop there for a second. You are my customer. I'm the finance and insurance manager. I just sent you a review request. How many taps on your phone did it take to leave me a 5-star review? Was it 1? Was it 2? Was it 3? Well, you get it. It was super easy. It took 4 taps. 1 to select Google, 1 to select 5 stars, 1 to hit post. It's super, super simple. And so I have caught you now, due to the effectiveness of this text messaging option. At the right moment, it was quick, it was easy, and it only adds to your satisfaction with the experience you've just had. And so now, because it is so easy, you now as a dealer have the opportunity to take control of the review process. Don't let 1 or 2 angry customers determine your online reputation. As you can see here, this allows you to get dozens of 5-star reviews so that more people find you and more people pick you. And then number 2, build a repeatable process. You know, find a point in your process where you can easily ask happy customers for reviews. You know, I just simply use the finance and insurance desk, but it could be anywhere that you deem most useful. Number 3, use connect text messaging, not email. It's 35 times more effective than email at collecting reviews. Super easy, super effective, huh? And then lastly, respond and start marketing. Use those reviews in your advertising. Put them in big posters in your showroom. Put them in your ads. People love to see customer experiences, and we all get that. And so we want to position you as a dealer to generate more reviews using more leads, because you have hundreds of 5-star reviews. And every time people have money to spend and are looking for a dealership in your area, they're going to find you first and they're going to pick you first. And then on top of that, you've got those text us buttons on your website. So it's super, super easy. And so the bottom line, as we look at reviews and then begin to wrap up here so we can dive into some questions, the bottom line is it's quick and it's easy. Here's our reviews tab, if you will, on the desktop application of Connect. And you can see here how request a review in the top left. That's what I, as the finance and insurance manager, use to quickly text that review to you. We also include a leaderboard. See that in the middle there? where with one tap of a button, you as a GM or a sales manager or service manager can now see how many review requests your employees are sending out. And if you really want to ramp up those leads that come from having more reviews than everybody else, pony up a $100 dinner gift card each month for the employee that generates the most reviews. And then it turns into a game and everybody's on board. Part of our offering too is, in addition to converting your main dealership phone number to be text enabled, we also tie in your Google and Facebook credentials so that you need only go to connect to see how many reviews you have. And then look at the bottom part of the screen. We also pull in all of the reviews you receive from Google and Facebook so that not only you can monitor them, but see that respond button right to the right of that first review. See how easy it is to respond and say, hey, thanks for that 5-star review. We sure appreciate your business. Come in anytime and we'll take good care of you. Or on the flip side, if it's a less than perfect review, how easy it is to then tap on that and say, I'm so sorry you had a less than perfect experience. My name is John. I'm the general manager. Come in immediately and we'll fix it. So you can really take advantage of making reviews count to help you generate more leads. And so to kind of wrap up here, the big picture, we work with over 2,200 dealers across North America. And so it makes it very easy to not only generate leads, but to schedule appointments, send quick information, send targeted warranty reminders, which can be a great source of new revenue, especially in that all of you or most of you have had record sales months. You can collect payments via text messaging, attach photos, generate online reviews, capture more leads. And what's the impact? Here's the bottom line is we found with our average Connect dealership in year one, they're reducing unnecessary call traffic and voicemails. But look at that. I talked a bit about efficiency in your service department. We found that text messaging, instead of playing the phone tag game or the email tag game, saves up to 45 minutes per person per day in parts and service. We've talked about how increase in new leads come from the website. Online reviews on average jump 300%. On the payment side, within 48 hours, you're gathering 60% of your payment requests. But look at the big one there at the bottom. Our average dealership sees an increase in new units sold by 6% per year. So sure, we're talking about how to double and triple and 4 times the leads you're getting from your website. But the important thing here is that leads to revenue. And so for the quick math, if you as a dealer are doing 100 sales units a year, a 6% increase is 6 more units. Let's say your average cost per unit is even $20,000. So I can do the quick math. You're looking at $120,000 in new revenue because you're using text messaging. You're using text messaging to generate reviews so that more people find you and more people pick you. You're using text messaging with a text us button on your main front website page and on all your inventory pages. And so combined, you're generating 4 times the leads, 10 times the leads, which means you are selling more units. And so to kind of summarize here before I turn it back to David and we jump into the Q&A, let us help you put simple text us options on your website. Again, why? If you haven't gotten it, 89% of us prefer to text with a new business rather than a phone call or an email. Number 2, generate online reviews, and by golly, do it quickly and easily with a simple review generation text message that you can templatize and send out instantly so that you're generating dozens and dozens of 5-star reviews. And it's no wonder people start picking you more and start doing business with you more, which of course starts the snowball rolling. And before you know it, you've got 500 reviews and 1,000 reviews. And David G and his team are calling you for a cover story in their magazine because you're outstanding. Anyway, with that, I'm going to turn the time back over to you, David, and let's handle some of those questions that have come in. Thank you, everyone. I've certainly appreciated this opportunity to share some ideas. And let's now talk about specific questions to help you even more.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trevor. If I had I'm looking for my applause button. If I had one, I'd hit it. But thank you very much. I really enjoyed that and have a bunch of nuggets and takeaways. By the way, if you have any questions, we've got a couple here to start with. I see that have come in. If you have any others, please submit them using the chat function right now. And by the way, yes, I've had a great experience with you. I'd be happy to write you a glowing review on social media. So look for that. Well,
how easy was that? Thank you.
yeah, exactly. Hey, just push a button. You certainly pushed a couple of my buttons in a good way. And actually, Sean had done a Connect webinar with boating industry, I think about a year or so ago. I'd forgotten about his relationship with, coming from the boat dealership world. That makes sense that to organically come up with platforms and tools that he probably wished he had when he was selling boats. So that's really cool. Talk about one of the questions we have. Okay, I get the whole texting versus email thing and effectiveness, but I still have some old school guys, and they are guys working for me, with me on the sales side. How do share some tips on how you get some of those laggards to come on over to the text message side? Anything that you can share on how to get some of the slow ones text messaging?
You know what? That's a great question. And believe me, we get that a lot. How do I get all of my employees at the dealership to use text messaging? And so whoever asked that, thank you, because it's a common question. Well, I do two things, and we encourage our dealers to do these two things as well. Number one, simply take advantage of our unlimited training. And so what that means is we found once we light the fire under the value of text messaging, it's a little easier to get on board. And so we've learned quickly that unlimited training and support is a great way to do it. So if I'm a manager, I'm going to organize a Connect training session for just my team. And I'm going to require that everybody take the 40 minutes out of their day to attend. But the reason why is this. In that training, it's very easy for us to point out, and I point out to all of you as well, that how many of us prefer text messaging? It's not 40%, it's not 50, it's not 60, it's 89% of us. And so if I'm a member of your team at the dealership, and let's say I'm a little older than some of the others, my goal is to make money. And if I'm handed a way that 89% of my prospects are going to prefer, that helps me get it. And then number two, I always say, how many of you text already? Even if it's grandkids and neighbors, I'd mentioned that earlier, and they're going to realize why. And then I love to say, why? Why do you text them? Well, what's the answer? It's quick, it's easy, and I know they read it. And just simply then converting that response to a business standpoint really makes a difference. And then I wanted to mention too, I showed on one of our screens there how our tool very quickly and easily captures on the analytics side how many text messages your employees are sending out. My other part of that answer is incent your employees to send text messages, even to the point of a $50 gift card or a $100 gift card if they do it, or if they're the winner each month. And so those are the motivators. I will sell more product even if I'm an older salesperson at the dealership, if I use text messaging. And number two, if I do it, I get it, my grandkids love it, and I love it. And number three, if I have a chance to get a reward from my dealer for simply using something that's going to help me sell more units, why wouldn't I? Great question.
Yeah. Well, let me ask as a follow-up to that, then after that, after you give that pitch, which makes perfect sense to me, and after you do that little adoption session, in your experience, if people say, okay, I'm ready to drink the Kool-Aid, whether I truly believe in this or not, I'll give it a shot, for these other intrinsic reasons, $50 gift card or the opportunity to make more money, does the adoption go up pretty high after you kind of get that other shot at explaining the value of it?
Absolutely, and that's why I go back to the training. As part of our training sessions, we actually walk everyone through downloading the app, and we have them, as part of the training, start sending and receiving text messages. So they are left completely equipped and hopefully sold.
Yeah. Trevor, at the another question came in at the outset, fairly early into your presentation. You kind of mentioned how the dealer phone number conversion to texting process works, and how that takes place on the website. If you could just kind of go back and revisit, maybe go a little deeper on how a dealer would go through that process.
What I didn't know until I joined Connect was that every phone number has built-in MMS and SMS capabilities. And what that means is each phone number is built to not only handle phone traffic, but simple messaging and then heavier messaging, which includes photos and videos. And so part of our service to you as a dealer is you don't need to know anything about that. Part of our service is that we then contact your phone carrier and we activate those elements of your phone line so that then your phone line becomes text enabled. And like I said, that's great because then your employees don't have to give out personal cell phone numbers anymore. Instead, they give out the dealership phone number. And as they're texting across it, number two, you then at the dealership level now have all the record of all text messaging. Whereas right now, you don't have any idea, you know your employees are texting, but you don't have any idea what they're texting about or what the response time is. And so those are the magic components of converting your main dealership phone number to be text enabled.
Awesome. I know you mentioned the number. I think it was over, I didn't jot it down. I think it was over 2,000. How many dealers are utilizing the platform?
Right. We work now with about 2,200 dealers, and easily a quarter of those are marine dealers because we love marine dealers. That's where our true heart and soul is, at least from a beginning standpoint, going back to our founders' roots.
Yeah. And how has the global pandemic impacted your business? Has it increased? Tell me a little bit about kind of how we've heard from the dealers themselves how they're managing and coping. Tell us a little bit about how Connect has been doing.
Well, that's a great question, and I don't mean to minimize the financial impact of COVID to every small business in America. And we're included in that. We, like you, we're a small business in America. But I'll tell you what, I think we've all noticed that if I have a boat, and I have families now that have more time on their hands and can't go to amusement parks and want to have a quality family outdoor experience, they're going to buy a boat. Well, if I'm a company selling software that deals with text messaging to small businesses, I have an opportunity to help small businesses communicate more effectively with their customers, generate online leads through their website, through reviews, and even that third piece I talked about, collect payments remotely. So to answer your question, we, by sheer luck, happen to have a great solution to help dealers even do better during COVID with remote communication that has a 98% open rate and a 95% read rate, whether that's for sales opportunities, service, parts, or payments. So to answer your question, we fortunately have been surviving as well because a lot of dealers have found value in using text messaging, especially during COVID.
Well, that is awesome, Trevor. I know we have a couple of other questions, but we want to be respectful of people's time, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Again, don't forget, if you want to access the webinar, listen to it again, share with a colleague or coworker. The recording will be available on Boating Industry's YouTube channel. I would say probably within the next day or so. For more information on Connect, you can either go to connect.com and/or contact Jacob Bobko using the information on the screen. It's jbobko@connect.com. You can also call or text him if you didn't get your question answered today. 888-972-7422. I see that as many people were on the webinar at the end that were at the beginning. So I hope that you found the content to be of value. Certainly hope that you've enjoyed the discussion as much as we have. Thank you once again to Trevor Allred and to Connect for presenting, and thank you, our boating industry audience, for attending the webinar. Content Director and Editor-in-Chief at Boating Industry. Have a great day. We'll see you on the water. And thanks again, Trevor. Talk to you soon.